Thank you, Oli, and thank you so much for coming out, and thanks to the Perdu Collective for having us. It's a great joy to be back here and to read here. And I'd like to thank Samuel for the translations. I'll be doing some poems in translation and then some poems without translation, some of the new work. I live by this silly drama that I'm only as good as my new work, so I'd like to read some of that. You think it's funny? So I'm going to read a poem, and then Obi's going to do the translation, and then he's going to read another poem translated, and then I'll go from there, is the order. Let's see if I can find it. This is good? Everyone can hear? Yeah? Okay. Beginning with a phrase from Simone Weil. There is no better time than the present when we have lost everything. It doesn't mean rain falling at a certain declension at a variable speed is without purpose or design. The present everything is lost in time. According to laws of physics, things shift. When we lose sight of a present, when there is no more everything, no more presence in everything loved. In the expanding model, things slowly drift, and everything better than the present is lost in no time. A day mulches according to gravity, and the sow bug marches, gone. The hinge cracks, the gate swings a breeze contingent upon a grace opening to air, velocity tied to winging clay, every anything in its peculiar station. The sun brightens as it bleaches, fades the spectral value in everything seen. And chaos is no better model when we come adrift, when we have lost a presence, when there is no more everything, no more presence in everything loved, losing anything to the present. I heard a fly buzz, I heard revealed nature, cars in the street and the garbage, footprints of a world, every fly a perpetual window, unalloyed life, gling, pinnacles of tar. There is no better everything than loss when we have time, no lack in the present better than everything. In this expanding model, rain falls. According to laws of physics, things drift. And everything better than the present is gone in no time. A certain declension, a variable speed. Is there no better presence than loss, a grace opening to air? No better time than the present.
Beginnend met een zin van Simone Weil. Geen tijd is beter dan het heden als we alles hebben verloren. Wat niet inhoudt dat als regen valt, onder zekere buiging, met wisselende snelheid, het zonder doel is of plan. Het alles van nu gaat verloren met de tijd. Volgens natuurwetten schuiven de dingen als een heden uit ons oog raakt. Als er geen alles meer is, niets meer aanwezig in al het beminde. In het uitdijende model drijft alles langzaam af en al wat beter is dan het heden raakt in geen tijd verloren. Een dag bedekt de bodem volgens zwaartekracht en de pissebed rukt op, weg. Het scharnier barst, de poort zwaait een bries die afhangt van of een gratie opengaat voor de lucht. Snelheid verbonden aan gevleugelde klei. Alle ietsen op hun bijzondere standplaats. De zon wordt feller en bleker, vervaagt de spectrale waarde in al het geziene. En chaos is geen beter model als wij op drift raken. Als wij een aanwezigheid verloren hebben, als er geen alles meer is. Niets meer aanwezig in al het beminde, een iets verliezen aan het heden. Ik heb een vlieg horen zoemen. Ik heb de geopenbaarde natuur gehoord. Auto's op straat en het vuilnis. Voetafdrukken van een wereld. Elke vlieg een eeuwig raam. Onvermengd leven, xing, toppen van teer. Geen alles is beter dan verlies als we tijd hebben. Geen gebrek in het heden beter dan alles. In dit uitdijend model valt regen volgens natuurwetten. Alles drijft af. En al wat beter is dan het heden is in geen tijd weg. Een zekere buiging, een wisselende snelheid. Is er geen betere aanwezigheid dan verlies? Een gratie die open gaat voor de lucht. Geen betere tijd dan het heden. Archeofonie. Ik bezoek deze stem alleen maar. Ik bezoek de moleculaire structuren gewoon, die zeggen wat ik zeg. Ik bezoek de wereld gewoon op dit moment en hij staat in brand. Hij stond altijd al in brand. Ik zeg dit en het zegt mij. Zo werkt dat, net een wip. Het archief in de mond en het archief staat in brand. Zo gaat het verhaal. De zon en het lichaam in de zon. Zo was het gewoon, de wereld die op me afkomt en de wereld om me heen. Om me heen zeggen woorden dit, zeggen vuur, zeggen iets ervan of alles.
Thank you. Sorry about the cough. So I'll read the English or the translation of that. Archaeophonics. I'm just visiting this voice. I'm just visiting the molecular structures that say what I am saying. I am just visiting the world at this moment, and it's on fire. It's always been on fire. I'm saying this, and it's saying me. That's how it works, seesaw-like. The archive in the mouth, and the archive is on fire. That's the story, the sun and the body in the sun. It was like this, just like this, the world that's coming toward me, and the world around me. Around me are words saying this, saying fire, saying something, or all of it. And now some poems just in English. But, yeah, this title will be very clear. When orbital proximity feels creepy. Right now, there are teenage microwaves screaming through your body while you are having text with me. This is the moment I'll need you to sing with me. I'm making my way in some dark room looking for other structures to love. From the left, something speaking I can't identify. The floor goes unfixed and moving, and this doesn't happen only at night, but during the day when I don't want to think on it. That I saw a blood orange ball caught out my window, that I'm listening to light, and it said time. I'm listening to time. It says, ha. You need to be howling at bloody torn space, need to be spooked out of your hidey hole and its glowing mess. But I love this ball I'm riding on, the strange hunk of metal and rock whizzing around my loves and my loving. The fact I spin and it spins and everything is spinning close up. From far away, it's so cool. I guess they call this physics, or they call it laws. If they're so well made, why do we suffer? I thought the day was opening, but now I see it's already gone. Outside, the cruel dove has a broken window. The day isn't friendly. Who are you to me? A way to understand the floor that holds me up and leaves me standing. I don't know where to go. Me, Tuesday at 5 p.m. What does it mean to be in a room, any room? The wind banging against the clapboard. I know enough to see the crack pane isn't going to be fixed anytime soon. Who has time for such things in the song? Breaking, blooming. The wobble of light on wood grain late in the day, in the loneliness of orange, in the loveliness of orange. Release the darkness to new lichen. But I found a way to say no to the wood in my house. It kept creaking, wouldn't stop talking. I found a way to say no. I need to be standing in the warmth of the wood that the sun made. I need to find myself dissolving, otherwise it is all, otherwise I'm lost. Did I say that? I saw the frill of light today, walking on the path. Could you hear the stirring in the wood, pine needles in the branches? Was it wind or a creature? Am I here or is it over? This was the first day, the nothing day, in the nothing year. It gave me courage. It gave hints of blue, clouds electrical and dancing. It gave me rays I've never seen, shooting down, touching things. This was the first day. It's a strange book. I guess when I was younger, I needed to be the loudest thing in the room. And as I've gotten into middle age, as I decay, I've discovered that the volume of the world has just been turned up, and the volume of the world is getting much louder. And so my job is simply to listen and receive, and that's the title of the book, Archaeophonics, The Archaeology of Lost and Buried Sound, and I'm interested in this notion of just listening and receiving the poems. This one is called This World Is Not Conclusion, which is the title of the first line of an Emily Dickinson poem. I live in Amherst, Massachusetts, where she lived and wrote. And I was invited to spend time in the house, and so I did, and took my notebook, and then I wrote this poem. This world is not conclusion. When I look out your window, I see another window. I see a wedding in my brain, a stylus and a groove, a voice waving there. When I look out your window, I see another window. These trees are not real. They grow out of air. They fell like dust. They fell. So singing is seeing, and vision is music. I saw diadems and crowns, daisies and bees, ribbons, robins, and discs of snow, sprung effects in pencil light. When I look out your window, I see another window. I see a fire and a girl, crimson hair and hazel eyes, a public in the sky. When the world comes back, it will be recorded sound. That cooing shrub will be known as Dickinson. The syllabic, fricative, percussive, emphatic will tear open out your window. I see another window. I see a funeral in the air. I see alabaster space. I read circumference there. And a lot of the diction, the nouns in that poem come from her poems. We like to think of Emily Dickinson as the advanced guard, or simply a badass. She's unbelievable. Sentences in a synapse field. For I wanted sound to dig into sound, for snow and blood, for wine and mirrors, for electrons and electricity. For as long, no, fuck. Can I start again? Sorry. Sentences. Well, Broom told me to look up at the audience to make connections, so I usually just look at the page. Sentences in a synapse field. For I wanted sound to dig into sound, for snow and blood, for wine and mirrors, for electrons and electricity, for debris, for damaged art, our collective fortune, future. For as long as there have been soldiers, there have been poets. For as long as poets, there has been a bridge. For I wanted to hold a room in silence, for debris flooding back into a wave. For as long as particles a charge, for it should be incredulity to be alive. For these things it can be told until mystery becomes elegy. For it was March going into April, for the day was speaking the day. For what you thought, for what you buried, for who you are. And this is a series in 13 parts. Don't worry, they're very small. But I'm reading it on the occasion for my friend Wolfram Svets, C.W. Svets, who edits Tungsten Press, He makes these very beautifully loved editions of poetry. And he's doing a little booklet of this poem, and so I'm grateful for that, and I'll read it for him. A winding sheet for summer. I wanted out of the past, so I ate the air. It took me further into air. It cut me, an iridescent cord of geometric light. I breathed deep. It lit me up. It was good. All these years, lightning, rain, the sky, its little daisies, memento mori, and lux. And you can't blame me, this daisy feeling. I was a poet with a death style of my own waking. I occupy the rest of it, a blue-green leaving feeling, to no longer belong to a body, sometimes open to air, in rain, in early morning rain. Today was the day of the amphitheater in mind, for the day of a dreaming speech where the light is dope, and that's all you can say. When a feeling degrades and evolves into thought like 2 a.m. dilated, revealed a star, it will say this long agony is great being awake. It is being lovely now. All the stars are here that belong to whatever was speaking. I built my life out of what was left of me, sky and its procedures, a romanticism of clouds, trees, pale crenellations and poetry, a musical joy bang touching everything. When the words come back, their fictions remain, thunderheads and rain, lexical waters raking gutters, carving a world. The stylus will live in the flash, a daring light from pewter to whatever. Now discrete observations produce undramatic sound like, I am a bubble, make me the sea. Oh, make me the sea. For a long time, the names of things and the things unnamed. For a long time, hawks and their chicks, fox and their cubs, mice and their mice. For a long time, bunnies and boojum, and a name for every bird in me. I am native to feathers, their nether side. The sun was a goldish wave taped to a book, a wavy diagram in a fusty book, foxed old wave. A soft electro-fuzz enters the head, a soft, fuzzy opiate lightness. What could be the message in this pointillist masquerade? What use memory? I came from a different world. I will die in it. Someone saw it. I love them for seeing it. I love seeing it with them, love watching it die in me. It wasn't behind or beside me. Finding it wasn't it. Being it was everything. This was the thing I thought as I fell. I am that thing in mourning. Whatever motors in the skull, something is claimed. Sudden rain keeps it real. Rooftops from the window look stunned, cleansed. Looking out over the day, the pale performing day, I always consult the air before composing air. And what have you been given? The blue nothing asks. Who are you under clanging brass? Who are you, Saturday? Sing to me. See the crow's thread summer isthmus, afternoon shade mirrors an issuelessness, a perfection of beetles slowly treading summer's blade. The leaves broadcast color. I was born in summer, my conqueror, breaking into wisteria. The sun was a golden rag nailed to a ladder, and here the marigolds grow down to the banks, the mayflies drowse above water. How then the dazzling surface and its dictions under piled clouds, and clouds sitting there by place and sound. One thing, this thing, and sound glitters. Indicative, transitive, particular battles the void. All afternoon a green gold silent light on the spotted grass sprung. I know it's summer. Even if I can't decipher the call, I believe in the birds haunting me. I held on. I'm full of bluster, but also full of vision. I'm not ready to put the book down, to stop singing bright spots, thrilling the quicksilver over my torrent. I make sounds, forget to die. I call it living, this inhuman conch in the ear, a pewter sensation and wind. The sun remains a yellow sail tacked to the sky. I am climbing air here. I am here in the open. The kestrel swerves, its silent kerning, a stunning calibration of nothing. I'm left to see. Did I tell you the title of that poem? Did I say that? I don't think I did. It's called A Winding Sheet for Summer. A winding sheet is a shroud, 19th century word for a shroud. And I'm going to read two last small poems that Samuel translated from a series called Field Recordings. And so this one is called Thrall. This poem, yeah, it doesn't matter. Thrall. The old language says the apple is the old apple. It spoke in categories and gave her all the dance floor she needed, all those vocabularies and animal nights before her we see through to spotted fur. Lithe, the taut syllables in apple and the ecstasy of naming, or was it knowing? Window swing open, the chest a hammering thing. This hammering thing, life as I've known it, know me, is over. I might as well say it. The apples lie scattered on ground. The earth reclaims its booty right before the eyes. So swiftly the letters replace. The letters dearrange and uncompose the self in itself. The orchestral side is taking away me. These letters no longer anchor.
I have not a translation, sorry.
What, you don't have a translation?
No, it's Hamburg.
Oh, it was, you said Thrall, I think it's a,
My mistake.
I'll read that one then. I could have read them in order though. Okay. Extra poem. Actually, there's a typo in this. I spelt the word wrong and Samuel happily fixed it. Thank you. It's really embarrassing. And this book's supposedly been copy edited and it's been proofread. Okay. Freaks me out, it really does. Languor. The old language is the old language, with its lance and greaves, broken shields and hammered vowels, a stairway ascending into a mirror. See it climb the old helix, beneath a scarred and chipped northerly sky, rotunda blue. Sing genetic cloud forms mirroring the syntax and reflection. And what would you have? Paving stones, rhetoric, the coping of bridges, leanings, what is taken from res, to reconstruct, to recognize the categories have failed, that the index was a liar. The lists have grown lonely far from home, houses of worship, roofs, toy stores and liquor stores, names, historical furniture, descriptions of architecture, patina in a fanfare city. I have eaten the air of that city.
Sloomheid. De oude taal is de oude taal, met zijn lansen en kwetsuren. Gebroken schilden en gehamerde klinkers, een trap omhoog, een spiegel in. Zie hem de oude helix beklimmen, onder een bekraste en gebutste noordelijke hemel, rotonde blauw. Bezing genetische wolkvormen die reflexief de syntaxis weerspiegelen. En wat krijg je dan? Stoeptegels, retoriek, het bolwerken van bruggen, neigingen. Wat komt er van herstellen? Herken de categorieën. Erken hun mislukking. Dat de index een lier was. De lijsten zijn eenzaam geworden. Ver van huis, gebedshuizen, daken, speelgoedwinkels en drankwinkels, namen, historisch meubilair, architectuurbeschrijvingen. Patina in een fanfarestad. Van die stad at ik de lucht. Zullen we de weg gedaan? Vervreemdingssiertje. De oude taal is de oude taal, heeft geen ruk te zeggen. Niet waar je begint, het gaat om hoe je eindigt. Iedereen zit vol brani als ze jong zijn. Probeer maar raak, breek dan maar. Ruimtesolo geklemd aan de ruimte. Kut, zei de lucht, die de hoek omgaat. Lange, dradige snot die je groot raakt. Als je iets weet en faalt, wat zou je dat ontkennen? Aanval van ogen onder een donderoplucht. De syntax breekt zijn geschonden schets af en zegt: eens zullen de armen niets te eten hebben, dan de rijken. Ik haat dat, als syntaxis mij verbindt met de rijken.
Okay, last poem. Strangeness becomes you. The old language is the old language. It don't mean shit. It's not where you begin. It's how you finish. Everyone's got beer muscles when they're young. Try as you must, break as you will, solo in space, clinging to space. Fuck, the air said, passing a corner, a long ropey snot hitting a gutter, to know something and fail. Why discount it? The onslaught of eyes beneath a fuck you sky. The syntax breaks down its mangled draft and says, one day the poor will have nothing to eat but the rich. I hate that when syntax connects me to the rich. Thank you.
Yeah, I guess first of all, thank you to Perdu, and thank you to Jeske for translating my poems into Dutch.
You're welcome.
We've already had a great conversation about them. And thank you to Peter, who insinuated that maybe they could invite me here with him. So it's been really great to be doing a few readings with Peter here in strange lands, and great to hear the poems every time. It's really just gets better, the new work. So you are just as good as that work, but you will be better. We're going to, I guess Jeske will explain what will happen, sort of, and thank you all for coming tonight. So let's try it out.
We hebben besloten iets anders te doen. Ik ga eerst de vertalingen lezen. En ik begin met 3 vertalingen uit de bundel Some Worlds for Dr. Vogt. En daarna hebben we een beetje een primeur. Het is sowieso een primeur, maar dan ga ik 3 vertalingen lezen uit A Winter Notebook, wat een werk is wat nog niet af is. Dus sowieso hele mooie, interessante gedichten. En tussendoor gaat Matvei dan de vertalingen lezen. En hij doet dat om de beurt met een vertaald en een onvertaald gedicht. Dus ik begin eerst met de 3 vertalingen uit Some Worlds for Dr. Vogt. 3. Beeld koelt tot geluid. Of zet zijn tanden in geluid. Zo koelt een hond af in de lagune. Andante zet zijn tanden in de piano. Ook daar een wereld. En als je het gezien had in het begin, had je het zien beginnen. Als je het had zien beginnen, zou je weten hoe het voelt om niets te zijn, terwijl het iets wordt. Maar nu ben je alles dat niets bijzonders wordt. Een neerwaartse grens, de nullijn naderend. Zoals een handdoek droogt, een band slijt. Een zegswijze oplost, eerst tot cliché, dan idioom, ophoudt het ding te zijn, tot alleen betekenis beklijft om het in te slikken. Zoals tijd rotsen inslikt of ze verplaatst. Een wereld in het revolutionair moment, in een hangmat, een vergulde balzaal, in de kast van een viool, verstopt onder de piano. De piano die geen snaar bij je raakt, is stuk. Stel je het stof voor. Zo je wilt, het spin. 13. De golf komt beeldraam voor beeldraam. In een middeleeuwse repetitie. Een geluid dat het ding herhaalt, maar eraan voorafgaat als naam. De gloed van wat er gebeuren staat en de waas als het de lens te snel passeert. Dit, de parabool van nat zand tegen een droge kust. Een paar korreltjes zout op je revers en kraag. Een bekende stem van over één schouder. Een losse haar herhaalt de curve in het zand, maar strandt op stoppels. Verlaten de ondernemende schaaldieren, voegen schelpen zich naar de fysica van het figuurlijke. Een tautologie vaart uit met de airconditioner in de zeilen. 15. Steen voor steen wordt de fabriek gesloopt. Niet zo lang geleden was de wereld een ellendig oord. En nog is het een oord waar je koffie warm hebt of met ijs, dat nu niet anders is. En wijn slaapt in een fles op een dag als vandaag. Roert zich krampachtig uit zijn slaap. Dan is er nog alles wat goed was aan het verleden. Inclusief de koplampen van passerende auto's, gefilterd door hangende sparren. De roest van de wereld en de wereld van roest. Dingen zoals bruggen en treinrails die woorden voortstuwden rond het verleden, van stad naar stad. Schrijf me wanneer je kan. Schrijf me zo snel als je kan. Er was ergens de hoop dat kinderen zo snel niet zouden verdubbelen. Er was de wereld zoals je hem kende, ofwel kent. De geur van potloodslijpsel en pennendoppen. Paddenstoelen na een zomerbui. Bouwgruis dat langzaam de leegte vervangt. Hijskranen boven onze hoofden. Er was de dag ervoor en de dag erna. Wegen in beide richtingen. Weer kop of munt tussen ons tweeën. Een briesje tilt de bladzij op en laat haar los. Komt niet meer terug. Dankjewel.
Thanks, Jeske. And so, as Jeske has explained, I'll read those 3 poems and I'll read a few interspersed that aren't translated yet, maybe someday. I like that only after hearing Peter read, the first time I heard from our archaeophonics, this digging and sound thing that happened, I think, sort of simultaneously probably in both this book and in archaeophonics. As sight cools into sound, or digs into sound, dog cools off in the lagoon, Andante digging in the piano. There's a world, and if you had seen it at the beginning, you'd have seen it begin. If you had seen it begin, you would know how it felt to be nothing, becoming something, but now you are everything, becoming nothing, to speak of a limit bearing down, approaching zero, as a towel dries, as a tire degrades, as a coinage dissolves first into cliché, then idiom, ceasing to be the thing, and leaving only meaning to swallow it as time swallows the rocks, or moves them. A world in the revolutionary moment, in a hammock, a gilded ballroom, in the hollow of a violin hidden under the lid of a piano. Do you need to say black, say shiny, say grand? The image, no more labor for the mind. The piano you fail to note is broken. Imagine the dust. If you want, add spiders. The wind cools you, but why the coffee lukewarm? Long waves of ignorance wash over your toes. The swimmer leans into the current, dries in the wind. Between is a world of shadow. The alphabet follows the rule of the letter. Smell the copper dust under the graver, the scent of black, wove paper and nitric acid in the rough basement. Take it to a mirror, or let this mirror come to touch everything that exists in order to be crammed into a book, even metaphysics, even hips. See how it's bound at one edge, suggesting entrance, or what is said is done. What's left of this world is color, the flapping pulp, transparent white, the turning of a page, a minute, a new year. When the fishermen throw their nets, there is a very quiet applause and sometimes a giggle, hardly auditory, like the gap between two insect landings on the map of the empire. The wave comes frame by frame in a medieval repetition, like a sound repeating the thing but coming before it as a name. The glow of what is about to occur and the blur of it passing the lens too quickly. This, the parabola of wet sand against the dry beach. A few grains of salt on your lapel and collar. A familiar voice from over one shoulder. A stray hair repeating the sand's curve but stuck to stubble. Shells abandoned by pioneering shellfish move into a physics of metaphor. A tautology sets sail under the breeze of air conditioning. Pose a world as a tautology or an equilibrium, a state of balance or static, something like the river flows, already redundant. What, in fact, is its shape? For instance, someone gave you this beer, so you can't do anything about it. You can drink it as long as you stand relatively still, describing to yourself the view or the way the tree trunks lay in the northern woods, leafless then, save for the ground cover, so that vision is not a noun, but the unachievable form of the verb reading, legere. Greeks choose to speak, Romans pick through the ruins. All this is well known, but bears repeating. Cherry blossoms in the rain, the season's emotional efficacy, to chew the crust, another way to bite down. Even the shapes of arrows, you know, are finite. Brick by brick, the factory is taken apart. Some time ago, the world was a terrible place to be, and it still is a place where coffee is served hot or iced, that today is no different, and wine sleeps inside a bottle on a day just like today. It wills itself stirred from sleep. Then there's all that was good in the past, including the headlights of passing cars filtered by hanging spruce, the rust of the world and the world of rust, things like bridges and train tracks pushing words around the past from town to town. Write me when you can, write me as soon as you can. There was the hope that chins wouldn't double anytime soon. There was the world as you knew it, same as known. The smell of pencil shavings and pen caps, mushrooms after summer rain, construction dust slow to replace emptiness, cranes overhead. There was the day before and the day after, roads in both directions, another coin to flip between us. A dry breeze lifts the page and lets it fall, doesn't come back. We'll do the next part.
Ik hoop dat ik het goed voorlees, want we hebben net nog een beetje zitten knutselen aan de vertaling. 3 gedichten uit Winter Notebook. Winter, tongloos, brengt geen geschenken. Ik stuur je vreemde pijlen. Laat ze vrij op je vijanden in de academie. Maar waarschuw me zodat ik kan schuilen onder dit koperen dienblad, Skytisch. Jaar van onze Heer 30, onze jaartelling. Niet om een boek tot voorwerp van mijn zorg te maken. Ligt mij hierin geen keuze toe. Niet als ik tegen je wil je lof bezien. Ik prijs je armen en benen en schets je buik. Schrijf de lichte kromming die ik niet kan, niet mag strelen. De ronding inleidt die voert naar duisternis die ik verlang. Donker als de ogen, zouden ze opkijken van onder het neergeslagen hoofd. Ik prijs de oksel die mijn tong zocht en stak, toen ik met gulzigaards genoegen zacht dons van sigaretten en goedkope whisky insnoof. Hierin ben ik veruit de minste van je eigendommen. Nu verstikt het zilt van verlangen de bron van lof. Geen woord kan ik je schrijven als ik me voorstel hoe je scherpe ogen het lezen. Een zeur ben ik altijd geweest, geworden. Nu mag iedereen het weten, behalve jij. Of toch, jij ook, alleen al om mezelf terug te pakken. Hier, ontvang het weinige dat ik ter wereld breng. En dit gedicht begint met een regel van Ramzi Nasser. En de winter doet niets in zaken de vraag van equilibrium. Ik antwoordde met boomgewieg en tilde een nul op boven mijn schouders, om te laten zien dat niets gelijk is aan oneindigheid aan alle zijden. Ik droeg mijn nul als hoed en ereteken, toegekend voor het niet doen van wat dan ook. In gedachten voel ik de vorm van je kruis in de palm van mijn hand. Dit biedt soelaas, de troost van iets tot een perfectie kennen, zonder studie, eindeloos open. Waar het lichaam draait, kan het zeer doen, makkelijk splijten. Een verschrikkelijk einde, maar ik kan je hierover niet schrijven. Dus schrijf ik je over nul. Winter mag bidden tot groene bomen om de komst van de ster die een seizoen inluidt, waarin ik maar metastaseer in mijn bokser, in de bries van een blauwe ventilator, met wat oude kwalen, zodat als je me aantrof, hier nu, je me niet zou herkennen, maar ik ben het. De rug gebogen, dezelfde e-mails, dezelfde geweigerde vriendschapsverzoeken. Moet ik het opgeven omdat ik geen boodschappen van de sterren ben? Ik observeer hoe deze doelloosheid zich in mijn celwanden vermeerdert. Mijn hele bewustzijn is van verstrooiing. Of van erotische verzen ooit een residentie of verbanning naar de Zwarte Zee komt, waar ik zou staren naar brute resorts die het strand bedekken, betwijfel ik. Dat ik van dwang houd kan ik niet zeggen, maar iedere avond probeer ik iets te doen van betekenis en te doorbreken wat steeds opnieuw opkomt. Dus bind ik een zak dicht en veranker een woord aan de bodem van water. Het is zinsbouw, maar het is geen leven.
So I guess we share the word winter, which is nice. You probably noticed that the one constraint in this series is that the word winter appears in the first line of each poem, and sometimes they're from quotations from various poets. So anyway, I'll read the ones that Jeske translated and intersperse a few other ones. And the you probably noticed here is a little bit more intimate than the you of the mysterious Dr. Vogt, who I don't really know and who I might tell you about if you ask me. But in this case, there's sort of a fictional you and a fictional I that is a little closer to an intimate space than the poems of Some Worlds for Dr. Vogt. I need some water for winter. So, tongueless winter bears no gifts. I send you foreign arrows. Free them against your enemies in the academy. But warn me first, so that I may take cover under this brass tray, Scythian, circa 30th year of our Lord, our common era. But not to make a book the object of my care. Give me not credit of choice in this matter, when against your will I write your praise. I praise your limbs and trace your stomach, write the weak slouch I can't forbidden to caress, which complements the curve that leads to darkness I desire, dark as the eyes would they look up from under downcast brow. I praise the armpit that my tongue sought out and stung as I sniffed with glutton's appetite soft hair of cigarettes and cheaper whiskey. In this I am by far the meanest of your possessions. Now the silt of longing chokes the spring of praises. Scarcely a word can I write you were I to imagine your sharp eye to read it. A bore I've always become. Now I would everyone to see it, save you, though yes, you too, if only to get back at myself. Here, take what little I bring into the world. This is one that you won't recognize. I never asked to be winter-colored, just as I've no interest in claiming for myself the genocides of my peoples, and though I was nearly exterminated, when I sit at a cafe with my friends, I don't worry. The owner's sense of private property somehow extends to include us while we're paying patrons. Such times I even feel on top of the world. I can't imagine it's how it is for everyone. In fact, when I take my seat, it's obvious I'm assuming the table, forgetting edges. It's like my name, a gift of God. Why I sign it in the margin I've had luxury to choose. Winter's disappointments include your fears line up with my faults so perfectly. I'll start over. It's okay. It always happens, I'm sure. It's so quiet in here. You can hear a phone drop. Kind of a pun on an early AT&T commercial. I guess, now that I think of it, it's probably, it just came back to me from the 80s. Do you remember that, Pierre? Yeah. Winter's disappointments include your fears line up with my faults so perfectly it's nearly a cause for celebration. Wild chives spew forth, brown trees bud, and roses bloom once more but lack earlier vigor. So an old me loves quietly the quiet room, bed, desk, dresser, records, dining table, same as desk and pyramids of half-read books time loved. These faults are finally irreparable, and fears for young embrace. I'll likely not reply with reciprocity in passion your plaintive Facebook message. Ask me how void beckons, vacant lowered eyes seduce, and edge draws one precipitously nearer affection's empty promise. Old ships love storms all the more so at safe distance, for dry dock is mundane, and everywhere repairs. And this is the poem that begins with a line from Ramsey Nasser, who I assume people know here. So a student of mine in a translation workshop, Sarah Harvey, was translating a lot of his poems, and I grabbed a line from one of them. And they're really actually excellent translations of his more political work, which I really liked. I don't know if that's an unpopular thing to say, but I really enjoyed it. So she introduced me to his work. So here's the poem that Jeske translated. And the winter does nothing for the question of equilibrium. I answered with trees swaying and raised a zero above shoulders to indicate that nothing is equal to infinity on all sides. I wore my zero as a hat and as a badge of honor awarded for not doing anything at all. I have in mind a feeling of holding your crotch in the palm of my hand, This gives me solace, a comfort at knowing something completely without study, endlessly open. Where the body turns, it can ache, splitting easily apart. A terrible way to go, but I can't write to you about this, so I write to you about zero. And this is also a poem based on a translation, a cento of sort of altered lines taken from a book of translations into English from Chinese poets from 1,000 years ago. And the translations were by Hilary Ayer in a tiny book from the 70s. And so I kind of made a little poem out of stuff from the book. You might know, I think one of the lines sort of changes some lipo or something. Anyway, 1,000 winters' words have sounded clearer, not my own. Oh, I hold up the wind, admire its color. The cup tries to empty, but I keep it full, all right. I regret that while I lived, I never drank enough. 1,000 years and no one speaking, no light. It's my own fault if my life is bitter, tough, things flourish here. I'm sad, the need is lost for torches. As day dawns misty, I'm a ghost. And lastly, or maybe I might have time to read this short one, but this is the poem Jeske read. Winter might pray to green trees to see the star that brings a season in which I sit metastasizing in my briefs by the breeze of a blue fan with some same complaints, so that if you came upon me there now, you would not recognize me, but it's me. The curve of my back, same emails, same friend requests ignored. Should I give up because Martians don't speak through me? I'm observing this lack of purpose proliferate in my cell walls. My whole awareness is of distraction. Doubt the erotic verse will get me a residency or exile on the Black Sea where I'd stare at brutal resorts built over the beach. Can't say I'm fond of coercion, but every night I try to do something meaningful and break what keeps coming back, so I tie up a sack and anchor a word to the bottom of water. It's a syntax, but it's not a life. Slow down, winter, go slow. Slow down how you use your body, how you do it to me, how I am not listening to everything the same time again already, so simply slow down, even start to again. This tune I hear, this time, sad not to know how to sing it. How do you say? Thank you very much.
The fire department wants its fear back. There is no body in this poem. Consider this poem the ash-shaped wrinkle in a leather seat, a telltale sign that a body was there and that a body has left again. Look at me and my little paper cut, my cute little artery and my meat sleeves. All the single ladies go looking for love, looking for laughter in pain, looking for catharsis in pain, looking for beauty in pain, looking for art in pain. In a strictly biological sense, being female means nothing more than being naturally accustomed to blood. Being a woman is a kind of blood play. I was so shocked at how verbs can change nouns, like how slay turns flesh into meat. And when Anthony Madrid writes, "I am your slave, do as I say," I kind of know what he means. I am a visitor in this body, and I am burning with fall fashions and apple bellinis, but I am poor, so I am just visiting. I guess what I'm saying is I'm just a visitor. I tried to sell myself on the internet. All my American friends sell themselves on the internet. Does this say something about America or about me? A homeless man instructed me in the economics of empathy. He used the €2 I gave him to buy a pet mouse, and he carried it around with him in his pocket. And he showed it to people in the street and said, "Look at this little mouse. It doesn't have anything to eat. Do you have some money for the mouse?" People like the well-being of smallness more than the well-being of other people. This is one of the reasons why I hate my uncle, who makes money airbrushing the teeth of Ethiopian children so that people are more inclined to donate money because a healthy smile invites wealth more than a sick smile, than a poor smile, a yellow smile. I want to extract something very powerful from you with my Cheshire grin. I love life so much, it makes me want to wear a methadone plaster and rub my clit violently. Old habits die young and beautiful, like me if I'm lucky, like me if I want to be in an anthology before age 30. If I had a title, I would wear it proudly, like the mother of an only child, but I prefer doctor, not Mrs., and survivor, not victim. But here we are now, and the van is parked outside, and the century of titles unspools before me, and I don't fit them, and they don't fit my bag, because I put the knife there, and the liquid brine, and the dark secret, and the map to the north. I hope you like the aesthetic of vulnerability. I gave up my budding career as a programmer at age 11 because I found the Lady of Shalott online and decided that I wanted to be a poet with red hair, eating men like air but drowning all the same. Whoops, you fell into the fountain of youth. It happens to the best of them, even people who do have money. The word VIP gets me so excited because I like the promise of the red curtain and the mystery of acronyms. There were always shards of plastic in my mother's yard. Why do poor people always have shards of plastic in their yard? When I was 15, I tried to sell myself on the internet, but I was still a blonde and I knew no acronyms, and I remained unsold, and here we are now. The homeless man confessed to me that he was selfish and that he would have to leave me soon. I get ugly when the methadone wears off. I have been in a dark, dark place. There is a part of the ocean where the light cannot get through. They call this the deep layer. It exists below the thermocline at a depth of 1,000 fathoms. I was a sick child and never learned to swim, but even so, I like the water and what it does to my lungs. Whoops, you fell into the fountain of youth. I have a vivid memory. I must have been 4 or 5. We came home to a big blood stain on the sofa, but my mom insisted it was marmalade, it was confection, it was fake. It was my first time seeing blood. I was not yet a woman, but I was shocked by the red, and I feared for it. When I was 19, there was a boy on the internet that I liked, and he wanted to see the wounds I had. And when I showed him, he said, "Too bad. I thought I'd be turned on, but I'm not." Look at me and my little paper cut, my cute little artery and my maid sleeves. All the single ladies go looking for love, looking for catharsis in pain. There is no body in this poem, but there is one on the bus, in the confessional, and in the mirror, where it squeezes its black heads and brushes its teeth. The body has to be abject before it can become clean. Clean, free of dirt or impurities or protuberances. Clean, free of immorality or criminality. Clean, being free from sexually transmitted diseases. Clean, ascending without falling. Don't you like that? How etymology can make anything look salvageable? I'll tell you what my uncle cannot make salvageable. Red is the color for taunting bulls, the goddess Lakshmi, the planet Mars. In nature, the red color of blood comes from hemoglobin. Maggie Nelson says we move away from red as we grow older. I would like to move away from red as I grow older. Whoops, you fell into the fountain of youth. Aesthetics can make any pain look fashionable, but I'm not interested in gratuity or the luxury of a shallow wound. Marina Abramovich says that the key difference between theater and performance is blood, because in performance, the blood is real. The blood wants to be acknowledged. It wants to be performed. It wants to be a work of warning, an exit wound, not a pearl necklace. There is no IAMP in ambulance, honey, and the cops are on the docks. The fire department wants its fare back, and I want to sell mine. I want to sell mine. I want to sell mine. Thank you.